Morning, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Morning, Monique. How are you? I'm good, thank you very much. Slept well. Not really, unfortunately. Well, I slept well, but I didn't get too much sleep. I was up re-recording the webinar for the mentor session last night. So that took a little while. So we'll just give everybody another minute or two to turn up, and then we'll get ready to go. Do do do. Morning, Paul. Happy New Year. Okay, so let me pull up the longer term charts. Good, Ishmael. Thank you very much. Chris, regarding using it on the IG or the Pro Real Time, sorry, I'm not sure. Okay, everybody. So let's get started. So the first thing that we do before we begin a trading day is that we try to derive some sort of a bias. All right. But it's not to say that we're necessarily going to trade in that direction all day. If basically we get an opportunity in a trade and it goes against our bias, then we can take that because we're very, very short term. But deriving some sort of a bias helps us trade with confidence for the day. Okay, it also gives us a little bit of a plan, which is difficult to have when you're trading so close to the market. So it sort of encourages a little bit of discipline there. We also want to be able to identify levels that we don't want to trade into. So any levels that potentially could cause us some issues, because part of trading, successful trading, is about the location. Okay, so you'll find that if you're trading into big levels that are going to cause you problems, your strike rate is going to be a lot lower. And even though systematically it might be profitable, you're going to find that in actual fact, as a retail trader, you won't sit through the drawdowns and things. So you won't be able to see that profitability. So it's so very, very important that everything that we do, sort of like works towards having a high strike rate, consistency, and all of that kind of good stuff. Because as retail traders, you need to understand that you're not very good at taking losses, let's say. All right, so one of the things that we need to do is we need to identify the levels that we don't want to trade into. All right, and all we do here is we just click, we just find the key levels on the chart. So they're the ultimate highs and lows. All right, so for example, that's a high, that's a low we don't want to trade into, and also over here. Okay, now remember, we're not looking for like pip perfect or point perfect movements to and from these levels. They're sort of just areas that we want to keep an eye on. We'll start from the longer term charts, so from the weekly or the daily, and then we drill down to the 4-hour and the 60 minutes, see if there are any intraday levels that could be interesting. We also want to, as I said, derive our bias for the day, sort of look at the trends and things like that. And at the moment, it's a bit of a tough one because if you look at the weekly trend, it is most certainly up, right? As you can see here, weekly trend is up. The market is bouncing on upwards. So from a technical perspective, you want to, from a longer term technical perspective, you want to be a buyer. From a fundamental perspective as well, I'm kind of expecting the DAX to do some rallying this year. Okay, so from a fundamental perspective, also want to be a buyer in the longer term. But for trading the DAX, you need to understand that in actual fact, we are so close to the markets, though those longer term themes, those longer term factors don't really make too much of a difference. They don't have too much of an impact on our trading because we're much, much shorter term. Okay. So what we need to try and do is identify, yes, we've identified the longer term trends. We've got a big trend line there, and you can see it as well here on the daily chart. Just get that in there so we can see something there. But what we actually need to do from a DAX trading perspective is we need to try and identify the momentum for the day. Okay, and to do that, you want to start getting into reading candles and things like that. So one of the things that is going to be a clue for us today, if we zoom into this chart here, is the fact that yesterday, well, all of this week, the market's been moving down, right? We had that massive down day on Monday, and then the rest of the week has kind of been, it's been gapping lower and lower and lower. But what you can see here is that each of these candles is a little less negative, right? So this big candle here is a very negative candle. Then you've got this candle here, which opened at the top. It traded all the way down, so it's going to be a big down day and then retrace somewhat to halfway up itself, right? Then we have this candle here, which again had a down day, and then it kind of closed towards where it opened. And then again, the same thing here. So there's a sort of pattern going on here, and it looks like the market is trying to tell us that it's had enough of going short, and potentially we could be looking at some sort of a rally sometime soon. So from a momentum perspective, it's not completely clear, all right? But if you had to push me on it, I would go for the fact that since we've been getting less and less and less negative over the past week after that big down day there, we might actually see a day of rallying today. Might not be the case, obviously, all right, because I don't have a crystal ball and the markets can do absolutely anything. But my bias going into the day is going to be looking for long opportunities. Then what we can do is we can then drill down to the shorter term time frames, all right, so things like the 4-hour charts. And we can see if there's any clues that we can see on the 4-hour sort of intraday levels that we don't see on the daily. And from the 4-hour perspective, there isn't anything at the moment. We've already got these levels marked in. So we can then jump down to the hourly chart and look at our imminent supporting resistance levels. And again here, there really isn't anything that we don't have marked up on the daily charts, all right? Perhaps this level here, we'll have to check to see if that's in there, the one spot, or the 10405. This low we already have marked up, so if we're trading into the highs there, we don't really want to trade into that level. And this intraday level there, and obviously the lows here are also going to be interesting to us, all right? So from that perspective, the levels that we've got, and we can write these out here so that we know if we're trading into them, and then you can mark them up on your charts as well. So 9805 We've got the 10125. Highly unlikely we get above that, but let's say we do. We've got 10403. And then finally 10655. Okay, so there are major levels that we're going to look at. We can obviously look at that on the longer term time frames, and you can see that actually you've got that big resistance in there at 10489. Okay, to the downside, you don't really have anything until you get down towards 9310. If we get there, I'll eat my shoe. Okay, so they're the levels we're going to trade from. Now we understand where we're going to trade from. We just need to go across to our day trading chart, and then we wait for the setup. Okay, so as we said, we sort of have a bias to be long today, looking at the longer term price action, but that's not going to stop us trading in either direction if we see the momentum. All right, and what we can do here is we can mark up those big levels on the charts just so we know when we're coming up towards them. But before we do that, the market is just opening. All the cash, the future's obviously been open for an hour now, so we can observe this price action. So what did I have? 9805 somewhere down, all the way down there. And on the upside, 10125. So somewhere in that region there. We're going to keep an eye on those for the moment. And I can stick in that one at 10403. Doubtful that the market gets up there, but if it does, let's just have it in there. So the good news here is that we don't have like sort of loads of levels that we need to be wary of. Okay, so we've got quite a bit of distance between the levels that we want to trade from. So that's quite a good thing. So we're not going to find ourselves in situations where we have trades today that we want to take, but unfortunately we can't get involved because we're trading into major levels. Okay. Get the trading chart up. And now is the part where we wait and we watch the markets and we wait for it to come to us. So does it look like we're going to have a little burst lower? Let's see. So does that make sense to everybody? What we just spoke about there. Yeah? Good. Okay, so is the market going to give us a bit of a breakout fade here? Or if it can break through, are we expecting some momentum? That's one of the things that you need to think about when you're trading. You only want to be getting into the most obvious trades, right? You don't want to get into things that you don't understand the movements. Now the market's playing with this level here. It's going to do one of two things. It's going to obviously break out with some momentum, or it's going to close back down. So every time the market's coming down to a support or a resistance level, it's finding that as an excuse to bounce. That's not what we need to see. So we really need to see the market break out from these levels before we entertain trades. So if you look in here, got this sort of resistance level coming in here. And we've got the support level, and it seems to be trading in between this channel here. Look, it's come down to the bottom. Sure enough, it looks like it wants to then go back up again. So no one's willing to take a position in the market just yet. This is nice. This is the sort of price action we want to see. Morning, Rob. You just changed the time frame, Steve. You just open up the charts in your platform. Okay, so we might have an opportunity here. This is a lovely pullback here. If we can then get the opportunity... Oh, is it going to kill us? We don't want it to break too far through this. So I'm looking at the opportunity on the 3 range here. So that close isn't really a strong enough close. That closed up. I'm focusing on this chart here at the moment. Okay, I'm in. Currently, stop above 10013. Need to move that stop out a little bit. It's a bit too close. See what happens when we get towards the lows here. Can it break through? Give us some momentum there. Okay, if this turns back up, then I'm going to come out, but we'll see. Wait and see. Just need to get through these lows here. It's kind of playing around with the same. Okay, so if this turns up, if we get a strong close, I'm going to be out. At the moment, they're sort of like doji type candles, so that's fine. I don't want a strong close against. So this is all positive. It's playing on that same level though. We're just playing the 9996 level. It's just struggling, but hopefully if we can get some sell orders triggered below, we can get a nice momentum move down. Okay, I'm out. I am out on that one there. It's playing with these lows here. It was struggling, you can see all of that, and I said as soon as I get a strong close, I'm going to be out. So I'm out of that position there. It's a little bit frustrating. So I took a couple of points. What do you mean it breezes, Monique? I'm not entirely sure I understand that. Just looking at it from a... Do you mean it touches? Yeah, but looking at it from a context perspective, it broke out of this range here. It seemed like it wanted to move to the downside. So putting the overall chart into context, it was, for me anyway, a decent risk-reward trade. But it's fine. Made a couple of points there, so... At least it will pay for the spread on the next trade. So now we get out below the level. Let's see if we can get a momentum move. Because remember, that's what you need. You need a momentum move. If it closes back above this level here, that's going to be a candidate actually to buy the range. Do. This is disgraceful price action here. What does the market want to do? I don't know. I haven't mentioned a breakout level yet, Monique. I'm just watching the price action generally. Ismail, the arrows don't mean anything. It's just the price. Or it's the value. No, Ismail. These are just my indicators on the chart. Not that I've read, Paul. So we wait. Need a proper momentum move here. Will it not affect us? No, I mean, the market should still have room to make us profit, John. So you wouldn't want to be trading like really, really close to the news, but generally, you know, the markets should, for how close we are, you know, how short our time horizons are, we should be able to make some money. Some of my charts are like updating a little bit slowly. One 10046. What, the highs? Yeah, that's certainly something you can keep an eye on. We get above there. But so it was when we were looking at the short opportunity earlier. Obviously, that wasn't in play. See, the problem here is that these moves are a little bit labored in either direction. Rob G, are you on here? Have you seen my Skype request, Rob? Hey, Edward. Because you want to join the mentor program. What was the word for it? Oh, breaking out. The Skype session this morning. But I can't add you to the group until I've sent you a request, a contact request, and I can't add you to the group until you accept that. It won't be in your emails. It will be in Skype. So you'll need to open up Skype. Andrew, it's all on the Facebook page. So there's a video where I talk about the how you get NinjaTrader how you put the indicators on it. Regarding the data feed, you need to, as you said, just subscribe to Kinetic, and then get the exchanges that you want. So it'd be like Extra and the Eurex for the DAX. So in Skype, Rob, you should have some sort of like a Skype request, a contact request. If you gave me your correct Skype name, when you log in, you should see something saying that I would like to add you on Skype, and then you can accept that or not. Give me a second. So the market hasn't really given us any opportunities yet. No clean opportunities, let's say. I'm looking for clear momentum, Steve, in either direction and a nice orderly pullback. We had one opportunity earlier on this morning, and that was it. But that was just a couple of points profit because it ended up coming back against us a little bit. Yeah, Rob. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. When you send, I resend the contact request now. But you should have it. Oops. Ah, cool. Good. So I'll add you to this morning's session then, Rob, yeah? Does this price action have to be so ugly? Yeah, like, does it need to be? Okay, Rob, I've added you to the group. Tony, you want to be included in the 10 a.m. session as well? Okay. No problem. Not that we'll take this, but this could be interesting. If the market manages to break out of here, then you can expect a bit of a momentum move to the upside, at least up towards sort of like these highs over here. See if we can attempt to get up there and then break out of it. If it can get out, you can see it's been trying to get through these highs for quite a while now. So if it can eventually break out, then we'll get our momentum move that we've been looking for. See, this would be a decent opportunity had it not been for the fact that we're trading into the highs. This is one that I would take if it closed up now. That market just doesn't want to break out of this sort of range it has put itself in, does it? I can't actually type in the Q&A box, but Stuart's saying he has no sound. I don't know if somebody could just type to him, say maybe restart. Can you all hear me? Still? Yeah? Excellent. So just going back to this bit of price action here, this wouldn't have been the worst one to take. There's not a great deal of momentum, but it wouldn't have been the worst one to take right here. The problem is that we were trading directly into the highs, so it didn't have the biggest chance of success. Okay, which is why we didn't end up taking it. Do 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 do. So we're playing with these highs here, which is good. Because what you have is sort of like this coiling of energy at these highs, and eventually when it breaks out, you'd expect some sort of a reaction. Hopefully the momentum that we're looking for. Which will give us an opportunity to enter. So is this where the bulls finally win their little battle and we start to get some sort of a move, or does the market sell back into this range? See, what we don't want, right, is this stuff here, this kind of laboured price action. See what I mean? Every time it tries to go higher, it's met with a great deal of resistance. And then what you get is when the market sells against, look at how big these candles are, how strong they are compared to what's going with the trend. And that's just kind of indicative of a market that doesn't really have a clear direction. Yeah, David, I always have my charts on. I do indeed. How are you, David? Did you have a good Christmas? Can you hear, Stuart? Good. I don't know why I just said "Can you hear?" because I'm guessing if the sound wasn't working, you wouldn't have heard that question. So that was a bit silly. So let's get these masterclass emails out. Sorry, ladles and jelly spoons. The price action has been not great this morning. Yes and no, Stuart. I mean, you can't. You'll get some months when it absolutely flies, and then some months when it doesn't do a lot. So I think that would just be making excuses for us. So no, Rahul, as I was just saying to Stuart, the days of the NFP, yep, they can be a little bit range bound, but I've also traded on days when they've been really, really wild swings. So you can't really generalize like that, unfortunately. I'd love to be able to blame it on that. We'll see if this move plays out. Okay. And then if it doesn't, we will wrap it up. So if this then retraces back into the range, then we'll wrap it up for this morning. And try again in a couple of weeks' time at our next live trading session. But could this be the one? Beautiful flying weather out today. Usually, Monique, 3 to 4 times a week. Mainly in the mornings, but not only. I kind of have the screens open all day, to be honest with you, so always able to monitor and things like that. No, John, unfortunately, if people are writing questions, I think only I can see them. In the afternoon, Monique, the best sort of time tends to be around sort of like the close. So if you're trading 3 p.m. UK time for the last hour and a half, 2 hours. No, Paul. What questions have you asked? Yes, John. It's better to post in the chat. Did you ask a question? Maybe it got lost. Oh. No, it's everything. So it's the quality of the retracement and the pace. It's all together. So you've got to put everything into context, Paul. Okay, people. Well, it looks like the market's not going to give us anything of value. So let's wrap it up here. Okay. Unfortunately, we've given the market the kiss of death again. So every time we get onto one of these things, it just doesn't behave itself. But c'est la vie. Yeah, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And hopefully we'll get onto one of these sessions when the market actually moves. Okay? I'll speak to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.